At 48 years old, Tom Brady finally said out loud what Gisele Bündchen had been begging him to hear for 13 years. He loved football more than he loved her. And the moment he admitted it, the timing told you everything. Because just days before that admission, on December 3rd of 2025, in a tiny ceremony in Surfside, Florida, with a marriage license issued only 2 days earlier, Gisele quietly married another man. A Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor named Joaquim Valente. No magazine cover. No 300 guests. Just a notary, her 2 children, and the man who actually showed up. 2 weeks later, the world found out. And so did Tom. But to understand what he is admitting now, you have to go back to where it all began. Because this story did not start with a divorce. It started with a choice she made that most people have completely forgotten. When they met in 2006, she was not just a famous model. She was the highest paid model alive. Victoria's Secret. Every magazine cover. A global empire built on her name. He was a rising quarterback, talented, promising. But she was the star. And she chose him anyway. Think about what that means. A woman who could have had anyone on earth looked at a kid from California who threw a football for a living and said, "You. I pick you." They married in 2009. She stepped back from the runway to be a wife and a mother. 2 beautiful children. Houses in Boston.
Vacations in Costa Rica.
A wellness empire she quietly built in the background. She cooked. She raised the kids. She showed up to every game. And she did something nobody really talks about. She put her career on pause for him. Not slowed down. Not adjusted. Paused. The woman who could have made another $500 million on runway spent her 30s in carpool lines and football stadiums, cheering for a man who by his own later admission was barely there. But somewhere, something shifted. It started small. A missed birthday. A skipped recital. A vacation cut short because the season was starting early. She would ask him to be present and he would say, "After this game, after this playoff run, after this Super Bowl." And one day she looked at her own life and realized that after had become her entire address. Then in 2022, Tom Brady retired. He held a press conference. Said the right things. Thanked his family. Gisele exhaled for the first time in years. She thought, finally, he is mine. Finally, the kids get their father. Finally, the after has arrived. And then 40 days later, he announced he was coming back. One more season. One more shot. And in that moment, something in her broke that never got repaired. People always ask, what was the final straw? What was the affair? What was the scandal? And the answer is so much sadder than any of that. There was no other woman. There was just football. He was not cheating on her with a person. He was cheating on her with a sport. And somehow that hurt worse. Because you cannot ask a man to stop loving a game. You cannot scream at a stadium. You cannot tell a Super Bowl ring it is tearing your family apart. She warned him for years. And he did not hear her until the lawyers were already drawing up the papers. But here is what the headlines never told you. She did not betray him. She did not blow up the family. She waited until the divorce was final, until everything was settled, until the children had adjusted, before she ever publicly stepped out with Joaquim Valente. A quiet man. Present. Willing to be a father figure to her kids. He offered her the one thing she had been begging Tom for over a decade, time, without ever being asked. And while Tom was out chasing one more season, one more contract, one more highlight reel, Joaquim was teaching her kids jiu-jitsu in the backyard. He was eating dinner with them. He was learning how Benjamin liked his eggs. He was simply there. And Gisele, after 20 years of showing up for everyone else, finally let someone show up for her. That is not a woman celebrating her freedom. That is a woman telling you she survived something. By 2024, they were not hiding anymore, photographed holding hands in Costa Rica, dropping the kids at school in Miami, sitting at dinner with her family in Brazil. And then in 2025, 2 things happened that must have hit Tom like punches he could not block. First, Gisele quietly welcomed a new baby boy with Joaquim. A new family. A new chapter. And then on December 3rd, in that small ceremony in Surfside, she married him. Quiet. Private. No fanfare. Just the people she loved and the man who actually chose her. The wedding was not the betrayal. The wedding was the receipt. The proof in writing that the woman he took for granted had built an entire new life while he was still chasing a Super Bowl that was never coming. While he was still telling interviewers it was about growing apart, she was learning what it felt like to be loved correctly by a man whose only job was her. And when days later Tom posted that quiet message about feeling like his life was no longer his own, the internet had its answer. Football fans tried to spin it. He is just tired. He is being reflective. But the women watching, the ones who have spent years being told to wait, who have cooked the dinner and raised the children and shown up to every game while their husband was somewhere else, those women knew exactly what they were looking at. They were looking at a man finally feeling the full size of what he lost. And in interviews over the past year, Tom has started saying things he never said before. That he wishes he had been more present. That his greatest regret is the time he did not give his family. That he confused being the best at his job with being the best for the people who love him. Read between the lines and it is simple. He gave his career everything he had. And his wife and his children got whatever was left over. He chose the stadium over the dinner table. He chose the ring over the woman wearing it. He chose 40 more days of a sport that was about to end anyway over a marriage that could have lasted forever. Tom Brady is 48 years old. He has trophies. He has money. He has fame. He has a broadcasting job that pays him millions to sit and watch other men play the game that cost him everything. And he is alone, truly, deeply alone, in the way that only people who chose it for themselves can be. She did not curse him. She did not destroy him. She did something far worse for a man like Tom. She moved on beautifully, publicly, and with grace. With someone better, not richer, not more famous. Better at the one thing Tom could never master. Being there. And every photograph of her smiling in Florida, every quiet wedding picture, every image of that new baby boy, is a small and devastating reminder of the life he could have had, if he had only sat down at the dinner table when she asked him to. Here is the truth nobody said plainly in 2022. The story was never about Gisele leaving Tom. It was about Tom never choosing Gisele. Every single day for 13 years, she was right there asking him to pick her. And every single day, he picked the field. It took her walking down the aisle with another man, in a white dress he did not buy, in front of a notary he did not know, for him to finally understand that you do not get to keep what you do not choose. You can be the greatest of all time. You can win every trophy there is to win. And you can still lose the only person who is ever going to stay.